Hello everyone. Today, taking in review the end of reading the book Outliers written by Malcolm Gladwell, I'd like to give you my own reflection and my own insight according to all subchapters and chapters. So you will have the planet, the structural outline of some points to achieve success to become the outlier. The first point I would call it the smart enough. Indeed, as you remember the first chapters we read, the genius are not outliers. The IQ level specifically has its own threshold in 120. All what you have higher than this level of IQ doesn't have any sense at all. So if you want to make my expression more clear, I'd like to share with you the real example about real man. Maybe some of you remembered Chris Landon. His IQ was on the same level of Einstein. However, Einstein now in present days is reckoned as the famous scientist, but majority of us don't know about Chris Landon at all. And another person I'd like to share with you, person story, is about Robert Oppenheimer. Well, Chris Landon, in his early childhood, also in adulthood, he was very clever, very smart boy, and he always had been doing good at mathematics. However, he hasn't become an outlier. He hasn't become successful, and he hasn't done any super creations in his realm in the mathematics. In contrary to that, the same clever boy and man, Robert Oppenheimer, he did very well at mathematics too, but as a result, he had become the outlier in his own realm. And why is that? Why some people got their prosperity, got their purposes, and other people's don't? But nevertheless, they have that analytical intelligence and they have the high level of IQ. There is a question. Well, there is another very profound and also important thing, the practical intelligence. Practical intelligence, it is the way how you communicate with people. Also, it could be called a sense of entitlement. In general, it is an ability to know how to say something in an appropriate way, when to say that and whom to say that. It is immensely important nowadays, the ability to transcend your information in your own manner so others will respect you and they will take in view your own consideration. And also, moreover, it is a power to have enough courage to wrangle with people, to give your own counter arguments, and to not be shy and to be confident in yourself, in your words, in your position. In general, as I told before, it is called practical intelligence or sense of entitlement. Those aspects Chris Landon didn't have, unfortunately. He was enough shy at school. He was very clever, very clever. He, as I understood, he had been trying to learn more. He was very curious and he was very patient about what he had been doing, but nor his parents, neither his teachers, they didn't support him at all. In contrary to that, Robert Oppenheimer, he was born in a family when his parents, the other people who were around him, they always maintained and his ideas, his curiosity, and his efforts. Well, in other words, I could say it is a reason why Robert Oppenheimer had achieved his success, and Chris Langdon hadn't. The main difference, reason is taken through the term that is called concerned cultivation. Concerned cultivation and also cultural legacy. Let's talk now about concerned cultivation. Concerned cultivation is a certain style when parents and other teachers and friends, in some sense, they have been participating in the upbringing of their child. In other words, when parents, friends and relatives and teachers, mentors advise his child, support his child, follow his ideas, his beliefs and his interests. Moreover, they tries to feel some certain activities, some certain extra classes according to the preferences or according to the talents of their child. For example, when a boy or girl thinks about to become a good journalist, it means that you have to be professional at communication with people, maybe taking some interviews and so on. And therefore, in the early childhood, parents have to offer his child to go to theaters, museums, conferences, forums, and the other places when he or her will have an ability to learn how to interact with people and also apply his theoretical knowledge into the practice, communicating with different people, with different characters, interests, and others, and also state your own consideration, state your own idea, even if it is required to give counter arguments or also have a row with people. Robert Oppenheimer was a lucky one. He had that opportunity because his parents supported him, supported his preference, and their main thought was consisted in that the child success has to be let me just go back to the story of Chris Langdon. The parents of Chris Langdon, they saw that he had to be responsible for his own decisions, activities, and his own future, being the unconscious child. On the other hand, there was another opinion and another consideration of Robert Oppenheimer's parents, because they also actively and immensely effectively participated in the upbringing of the Robert Oppenheimer. Another main idea I want to propose here in that video is about practice. Practice also has been playing a huge role on the path to reach the prosperity. Indeed, there was, I don't remember the exact year, but there was conducted one survey of a group of violinists. The first group amateurs, and the second group encompassed the professionals, violinists. As a result, the former group, both those groups, they were both people from those groups, they were in the age of 18 years old. The former group had only about 5,000 hours of practicing. It means on average about 3-4 hours in a week. But looking to the later group, they had about 10,000 rules of practice, which means their knowledge and their theoretical skills were applied in that way, so they had become the professionals, the masters at playing at violin. The same story is related with the story of success, the Bill Gates story of success, as in his childhood he had been spending the hours sitting at the computer, working with software engineering, creating some algorithms and so on. Practice is also a very important thing. You always have to practice in order to avoid some gaps in your knowledge, in your studying, and others. The third point, there as a result of my reflection, I would call it the cultural legacy. Actually, this point could be considered as a reason to the existence of concerned cultivation, sense of entitlement, and practical intelligence, because all those factors were born in the culture from the cultural legacy. And cultural legacy, in short, it means entirely the habits, the lifestyle, the values, and the priorities are mirrored in contemporary lifestyle of the inheritors. In other words, it is a way how your ancestors and how your forebears behaved themselves in the past, and now your behavior, your lifestyle is similar to their. For example, I would like to share with you one story, one real example of Korean airplane crashes. In the 20th century, there was very huge, vast trouble with air crashes, consecutive line of air crashes, only in Korea country, in Korea airplane company. All those crashes made Korea looked unrepresentative, and therefore Air Traffic Control Nation Board of and other organizations, they at that moment had been organizing some surveys, some inquiries to make clear, to find the reason and cause of those crashes, of those successive crashes, where the hundreds of people year by year died. And the reason is related with the cultural legacy in Korea. In other words, the way of communication. Maybe some of you know that the cockpit in an airplane consists of captain, first engineer, first officer, and flight attendants. As it should be, of course, there should be some rules or some certain ways of compartment between captain and, for instance, first officer. So first officer has to respect the captain, has to follow his commands, has to show his own recognition, and to take into the point of view his authority, because he has the higher kind of position in a hierarchy, in a social hierarchy. However, in the case of emergency, these rules, they could be avoided and they could be unfollowed, because in the case of emergency, the person, specifically the person who has found out the danger of crash, he or she, no, in most cases he, the first officer, has to transcend the importance of the current situation in a very appropriate and a relevant way, avoiding all rules, avoiding of all standards in communication, and in avoiding of standards of communication. So basically, he should, in a most clear manner of speech, tell captain that they are in a case of emergency. However, in Korea, people has to maintain the certain rules. For instance, to respect older people, to respect people who has the higher position again at their job. It doesn't matter in the case of emergency or in other cases of uncertainty. But unfortunately, these rules, these norms led to the consecutive line of air crashes in Korea in 20th century, because the way of how first officer communicated with their captain looked like that. Captain, I think we are running out of fuel. Captain, okay, so connect with air traffic control. First officer connected with air traffic control and told them the same. They told him they will find out what is the reason. They had to wait, and the first officer replied, okay, I guess, okay, but I guess we are running out of fuel. Okay, thank you, we are waiting for your answer. In a case of emergency, he absolutely undercut the importance of the current situation, and therefore that plane had crashed in Sakhalin Island in 1997, where for about 228 people out of 254 people died. It's also all about miscommunication, misunderstanding one another. it is all about cultural legacy. The next point, the next my own insight is about rest. In the 20th century, one sociologist organized this survey where he tried to realize what was the cause of insanity. As a result, at the end of his interrogation, he had understood that the majority of cases of insanity concerned with overstudying, overlearning. Because students, they were not given the appropriate educational system, so they were not able to have rest enough, they were not able to have enough leisure time, and it led to some, again, cases of craziness and also insanity, because rest has to play, the rest plays and nowadays has been playing the main role of studying. I'm not speaking about rest as lollygagging or going into idleness. I'm talking about productive and effective and efficient rest. When during that process, we being students are able to process the information which was given to us at the university or at school. So process this information using our cognitive analytical skills or knacks. So our information could be processed in that way, so we can find out our own logical and analytical conclusion, get our reflection and insight of that information on our own way, and therefore we will learn that information much better. And also, if we learn it in that way, we will have a ability to apply that information in our daily routine, turning it into the practice. And also it helps us to develop our endurance, and these sort of respites again also very positively impacts on our mental health, cognitive processes and analytical process. And the last point of my own insight is about opportunity. When you have found your niche, when you know yourself enough, you know what you are looking for exactly, and therefore you will find the opportunities among you, or the opportunities around you, and use them. But at that stage, you have to have enough courage and pluck to handle all obstacles, hindrances, and challenges. It will be hard, and you have to do intense, effective work and put enough efforts. But if you will seize those opportunities and use them in your own life, you will be successful. And also I'd like to share with you one very good phrase. It is a Chinese proverb. It's like hard work, shrewd planning, and self-reliance or cooperation with a small group of people will in time give you the recompense. And as a result, using all of that aspect that I have described in that video, you will absolutely be successful at your own realm. Maybe you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, an actor, and some other jobs. Using those aspects, using that plan or outline, being smart enough, just learn enough, practice a lot, find the appropriate group of people so you will able to cooperate with them, obtaining the sense of entitlement, obtaining the practical intelligence through the experiences, through the challenges, knowing your cultural legacy, knowing the peculiarities of your own nation, what kind of weaknesses, what kind of strong sides does your culture have. To know all of that, also to have a rest, to avoid those pernicious influence of overlearning, and to use the opportunities. As a result, you will become an outlier. And so at the end, thank you so much for your attention and for watching this video. I hope you will find the application of my advices to you in your life. Thank you so much. Bye.